Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. I'm the time-travelling toy collector, and this is the Buzzworthy Bumblebee edition of the Origin Autobot Jazz as part of the Transformers Legacy Evolution range. This is a fantastic figure. I tried to get hold of it over here in the UK, really struggled, but thanks to my friends Des and Stuart in Canada, they managed to get this figure over to me in frankly record time. So a big shout out and thanks to them for doing that. Before we go too deeply into the figure, let's have a quick look at the packaging. This is my first ever Buzzworthy Bumblebee figure, so it's my first ever Buzzworthy Bumblebee packaging. I probably should have picked up the Cliff Jumper that was part of the Studio Series 86 that came out as Buzzworthy Bumblebee, but I missed that, so I'm constantly on the lookout for that. But yeah, here's the packaging. It's got Cybertron format vehicle mode Jazz there. It's got the Buzzworthy Bumblebee artwork along the side. There we are, some familiar faces. It's got Jazz on the side here in his Cybertronian mode, robot mode. It's got the Evolution, Transformers Legacy Evolution logo at the top. And on the back we have the obligatory product shots. And I really like what they've done with this. I really like how they've managed to capture, and we may as well look at this in robot form, how they've managed to capture the classic G1-esque sense of Jazz in a robot mode that's going to turn into something that's similar but not to his Generation 1 alt mode. So let's get a look at the figure first of all. And I'm just going to zoom in slightly because that's going to make life a bit easier when we get the figure in hand. Okay, so there's that classic Jazz head sculpt, which I think we're all familiar with, and you know, it is instantly recognisably Jazz, to be fair, as is the overall body shape and colour scheme, right down to the feet there. A really particularly, for me, impressive piece is the retention of this chest unit, which of course isn't quite the same, but it's adequately reminiscent of G1 Jazz robot mode and vehicle mode. But of course when he becomes his alt mode, we're not going to see that. It's going to be a very different front portion of Jazz. So I love that nice touch. I've attached his weapon, which has the Evo Fusion gimmicks here. So the grappling hook section does come off, so we do have a separate laser and grappling hook. I've combined it as part of the Evo Fusion, just stored it on there for the sake of argument for now. But let's carry on down. So there's his familiar colour scheme. They've even bothered to put it in sort of translucent plastic for the headlights, so you really get a sense that they may actually be part of his natural design. Lovely red highlights there as well. The blue with the Autobots symbol on there. I mean, if we didn't know any better, we could say this could transform into a smaller version of that G1 alt mode, but it isn't going to happen. So carrying on down, there's that sort of grey panel piece that loiters underneath there, the black skirt section, and then some very well filled in legs. There's not really any sense of hollowness around these legs. They're very sturdy. As are all the joints, actually, I have to say. This Jazz is giving some very sturdy and very strong positionability and posability. It's really, really great. There is, as you might expect, a proportion of back kibble, quite the hefty backpack. It's not unwieldy too much. It doesn't drag him over, but yeah, it's a little bit excessive, but equally there's not really another way they could have done it, short of making him a parts former. So he's a bit of a, I suppose you'd call it a panel former, because these sections are going to, in essence, do a lot of the heavy lifting of the figure. Then we get down to his feet, and there we can see the heel spurs are really his, what will become his spoiler. And there's more blue wrap around there that's probably going to be, I've not transformed him yet, so I'm just doing it from what I've seen on the box, the rear portion of his vehicle mode. But as I've mentioned, this guy, and I'm just going to zoom up and pan up a little bit for you. This guy very much giving us proper G1 or sort of pre-G1 vibes, and I'm very much here for it. I think it's a really nice rendition of the figure, and yeah, I totally get behind it, and it's very photogenic. So let's see how easy it is. And as I say, I'll do this off screen because you don't want to hear me swearing, just in case I have any difficulties. But let's see how easy it is to get this sort of pre-G1 Jazz into his robot mode. Into his vehicle mode. I'm so excited I can't even get my timeline in the right order. Okay, so don't go away. And before you can say libbity jibbity jibbity wab, I've transformed him into his alt mode right now. And anyone trying to repeat that has probably just discovered why it was a lot easier to get it transformed up than just to repeat that word. However, I say that, here is Jazz in his Cybertronian mode, and actually that took me a slightly longer than I was expecting. It is 20 steps. It should be a really straightforward and really easy transformation. However, and this might just be my copy, but I had some real trouble with the collapsing their legs down. I didn't feel that the instructions necessarily showed us very clearly. You sort of have to trust them a bit, but you just compress them down. You just push and compress them down. But I've become so used, I think, to double hinges, etc., as a fold-away mechanism that I was partly expecting that to occur, and it doesn't. They just sort of collapse inside themselves. But then it is a bit fiddly to get this to connect, not least because all of that is translucent blue plastic that's been painted, so it's extremely fragile and vulnerable. So I was very careful, and it made me extra careful, which meant it took longer than I would have liked. The doors tab into the arm sections, the arm sections tab into the leg sections, so there's a lot of interconnectivity and interreliance. And the minute it doesn't start to do what it's supposed to do, you have problems with the transformation and the holding of that final form. However, somehow or other, magically, I have managed to get it to where it needed to be, and we do now have Jazz nicely transformed up into the Cybertronian approximation of his G1 mode. And again, I think this is lovely. I think it's a really nice figure, a really nice vehicle mode. I think the grille, the tuck away of the faux chest, well, it's the real chest, but it's the faux front of the vehicle, is neat. It's quite a tidy undercarriage. It's when it holds together, it's a very tidy alt mode, to be honest. We've got his cannon on the front there. There is the storage in the middle there for his grappling hook. He doesn't have any wheels, so he kind of just sort of hovers there on the arms, but that's fine. It's Cybertron, so hovering cars, perfectly acceptable. Again, it mirrors the sort of Autobot chest insignia there on the front of Jazz. It's a really nice figure. The translucent plastic works in context with the figure, but again, it does build in a layer of slight stress when you're transforming him. The rear cleans up quite nicely. You've got ports there that are probably Blast Effect compatible. I've not tried. You can see there that the arms are already not quite as they should be, but that's because I had to do quite a bit of manual condensing and squishing to get it to hold its form. As I say, it was slightly disappointing for me because I was hoping it would be a bit easier to manipulate than it ultimately turned out to be. But we got there, and it's okay, and with practice and experience, and as it loosens up with more use, I strongly suspect that will become easier. So I'm not going to be too stressed about that. We'll see when I try and transform it back later. But yeah, I think it's a nice little vehicle. I'm really glad I've got it because it was one of those ones I wasn't going to get. And then I saw a couple of other people's videos and I thought, you know what, that does look quite good. I could see some real display potential with it, sort of alongside Metroplex or Fortress Maximus, for example. in their city modes or battle station modes. And then, of course, it was really hard to track down in the UK, or at least I found it really hard to track down in the UK. So I'm, again, really grateful to friends Des and Stuart in Canada for getting this over to me. Huge shout out to you both. So what do you think? Do you think that Origin Autobot Jazz has a place on your shelf? Do you already have it? Did you have any trouble with the transformation? Did you find a way to get around that trouble that you can share with me and any others, so that we don't continue to have the same problems? If you found this to be useful, informative, insightful, if it helps you make a decision about whether or not this belongs on your shelf, then either way, please do leave a little like on the channel, and why not subscribe? It's just a small click for you, but a gigantic leap forward for the channel. So please, whilst you're here, just click that like and click that subscribe. That way, of course, you'll never miss another video, and we'll be looking at more Transformers. We're looking at more Star Wars, more Doctor Who, more Star Trek, hopefully some more Battlestar Galactica in the fullness of time, as more things are released. But yeah, lots coming up on the channel, so I really hope that you come back again for something in the near future and have a little peruse while you're here now through some of the playlists, because there might be something there that grabs your fancy. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. I've been the Time Travelling Toy Collector. This has been the Origin Autobot Jazz from the Buzzworthy Bumblebee collection, as part of the Transformers Legacy Evolution range. And I'm, looking forward to seeing you in a future video. Just remains for me to say, remember that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Bye-bye for now.